The MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Billings City Council taking up a proposed ordinance in an effort to rid the city of sex trafficking businesses. After 3 years of discussion and redrafts, proponents say they finally have an ordinance that will help disrupt these illegal businesses and shut them down across the Magic City. That proposed ordinance would create a massage and spa facility business license. Tonight, council members have been meeting for hours as they look to hear from the public and vote on that issue. Q2's Mitch Legge standing by now with the latest.
The Royal Johnson Community Room in the Billings Public Library was packed on Monday night as the Billings City Council heard what the mayor estimated was an hour's worth of public comment on the proposed ordinance that would regulate massage businesses in an effort to cut down on human trafficking. The ordinance would require massage business owners to obtain a specific business license from the city and require the owner to provide the city with a background check. Billings Police Chief Rich St. John spoke in support of the ordinance, saying he's for any tool to help victims and bring criminals to justice. Also in support of the ordinance was Detective Joseph Scaramucci from Waco, Texas, who called in over Zoom to share his experience working with state and federal human trafficking investigations. He told the council the proposed ordinance targets illicit businesses, not the people doing legitimate operations. Massage business owners spoke in opposition of the ordinance, decrying the fact that massage as a business is being lumped into the conversation about fighting human trafficking. Some said the ordinance would place burden on their business that isn't seen on others.
Target them. Put a task force together. We have tried to work with you. We have tried to give you examples of things, and you just keep shutting us down. I am appalled that you don't take us as credit, like we don't know what we're doing.
Public comment was still going at news time Monday night. In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
And once again, city council members do plan to vote tonight on that proposed ordinance, but that vote has yet to take place. Well, the NCAA released a statement today expressing strong support for transgender athletes. That statement indicates that if lawmakers in Montana pass House Bill 112, NCAA championship events, including FCS playoff football games, would not be held here in the state. HB 112 would block transgender women and girls from participating in competitions designed for female athletes. Today, the House rejected the Senate's amendments to that bill that would have voided the law if the federal government decided it violated federal anti-discrimination rules. Sponsor John Fuller, a Republican from Whitefish, said he wanted to change the amendment so the bill would not become void until the state went through a full appeals process against the federal government. The House and Senate will now have to appoint a conference committee to work on a final version of that bill. And 3 major bills on how to implement legal marijuana sales in the state are now in the hands of a special legislative committee, and leaders want that committee to put together a single proposed bill by next week. MP's Jonathan Ambarian has more on that.
On Monday, the Montana Senate's new Select Committee on Marijuana Law held its first meeting. It starts what will be a busy week as they start narrowing down what a final marijuana reform proposal could look like.
At some point, we have to end up with one bill.
Senate President Pro Tem Jason Ellsworth, a Republican from Hamilton, is chairing the committee. He says members will hold hearings on House Bills 670, 707, and 701 through Wednesday. On Thursday, he hopes to narrow their options to 2 of those, and they could choose one bill to move forward by Monday.
And everybody says, well, what bill will that be? Certainly have no clue because it is up to the committee. And I am just one vote out of the 12 members that we have sitting on there.
Each of the bills would set up a distinct system for legal marijuana sales, and they would use sales tax revenue very differently. Lawmakers have talked about combining parts from multiple bills into one.
I think each one of these bills has a piece that can play a part.
Ellsworth says he's confident the committee can put together a single bill that lawmakers can support.
I don't think anyone's going to sit there and claim 100% victory. It is about compromise. It's about working together and accomplishing what we need to do for, for the people of Montana.
The governor's budget office estimates that recreational marijuana sales in Montana could exceed $200 million by the 3rd full year. That could bring in up to $40 or $50 million in tax revenue for the state. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Ellsworth said the committee will also hear a presentation Thursday from the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration about issues other states have seen in rolling out recreational marijuana. A Senate committee today advanced the multi-billion-dollar bill that authorizes spending of Montana's share of the federal COVID relief funding, but the final version still has some details to work out. The Senate Finance and Claims Committee endorsed the bill on a 13-6 bipartisan vote, sending it to the Senate floor. But committee chair Senator Ryan Osmundson of Buffalo says the bill ultimately is headed for a joint House-Senate conference committee. That's where lawmakers will coordinate it with other spending bills. The bill includes hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure and money for schools, health care initiatives, and local government. Democratic State Senator Pat Flowers of Bozeman tried to remove a provision that says local governments will have their awards reduced by 20% if they have stricter COVID-related health requirements than the state does.
It seems absolutely unnecessary and kind of strangely punitive. So those counties that are trying to address their problem, we're going to punish you for how you're trying to address infection rates. And that's certainly not consistent, again, with the overall direction that we're getting from the American Rescue Plan.
However, his amendment failed on a party line vote with Republicans against it. Osmundson said the 20% reduction would apply only on certain grants and in limited circumstances. Yellowstone County health officials say they want Montana ready for safe, healthy summer travel and activities. The push to reach that is getting the county vaccinated for COVID-19. At last check, there are more than 1,800 free vaccinations available this Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at Cedar Hall at Metro Park. Those first appointments are for anyone 16 and older. If you make and complete that first appointment this week, you can be fully vaccinated by May 20th. Again, more than 1,800 open appointments this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can go to mtreadyclinic.org to make your appointment. And if you do not have access to a computer, you can call 406-651-6596. Over in Park County, the health officer says she's concerned about a growing pattern of COVID cases among young people. Dr. Laurel Desnick says it's likely an indication of the presence of the UK variant, of which a case was detected recently in Park County.
And so putting the pieces together, it seems likely that that's what we're seeing. It doesn't actually change our recommendations. It doesn't change the public health approach. We may want to think that this is behind us, but this is a very stark warning that it is not.
The first vaccination clinic for people 16 to 18 years old is set for tomorrow morning at Park High School in Livingston. Another will be held in Shields Valley next week. You can contact your student's school or the Park County Health Department for more information. A curfew is now in effect in 4 counties surrounding Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. Authorities are trying to maintain order after a police officer shot a man dead yesterday. Her supervisor said she apparently mistook her pistol for her taser. It happened just 10 miles from where a former officer is being tried for the murder of George Floyd. Nichelle Medina has more.
A police body camera recorded the traffic stop that led to Dante Wright's death. The 20-year-old got back in his car as officers tried to arrest him for an outstanding warrant. But despite that warning, the officer fired a handgun, not a taser.
As I watched the video and listened to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet.
Wright drove off but crashed a few blocks away. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge.
The incident prompted waves of overnight demonstrations and looting. President Biden urged calm while the shooting is investigated.
But in the meantime, I want to make it clear again, there is absolutely no justification, none, for looting, no justification for violence.
The police officer who fired the fatal shot has been identified as Kim Potter, a 26-year veteran of the force. She has been placed on leave pending an investigation. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, San Diego.
The only people allowed on public streets in those 4 counties are first responders, members of the media, and people traveling to and from work. And in Tennessee, 1 person is dead and a police officer injured after a shooting at a high school in Knoxville. Police were called to Austin East Magnet High School just after 3 o'clock today following a report of an armed male on campus. Knoxville PD says as officers approached the suspect, shots were fired, and the suspect, who was identified as a student, died on scene. A Knoxville police officer also was shot at least once and is being treated at a local hospital. Time for a quick check at the weather now. Krista Rose joining us now, and it may be spring, but you're talking about that other S word, snow.
Yeah, a little bit of snow making its way into Montana from Canada, and we're going to talk about snow a couple of times tonight, but there it is on the radar coming down from Saskatchewan, basically clipping into northeastern Montana. That is prompting a winter weather advisory that not only is in northeastern Montana, but parts of North Dakota. So how much snow will they be getting? Well, some models have 4 inches, but if we look at this GFS model, saying roughly 1 to 2 inches in some spots. Needless to say, though, roads could be a little slick. Visibility could be poor in that area the next 24 hours. So please use caution. In terms of temperature back here, well, not going to get too warm, not yet, but if you stay tuned, I'm going to tell you when there is a warm up coming, and I think you're going to like it. So we'll be back after this.
Thanks, Chris. Well, if the weather continues to stay on the up and up, a few roads in Yellowstone National Park will open back up to the public on April 16th at 8 a.m. Now, those include the west entrance to Old Faithful, and the others are listed on your screen there. Face masks are still required in all visitor facilities and any outside area where social distancing cannot be maintained, and this includes hiking, trails, overlooks, and parking areas. For more up-to-date information, you can visit nps.gov. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2.